Hello and welcome to the award-winning RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast, sponsored by Underdog, Vivid Seats, and Rival Fantasy. It's Thursday, November 2nd, I think. He's Rick, I'm Doc, and we're getting ready to rock.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. I am so happy to be back. I had the flu for 8.5 days. I know Steve has been battling an illness here. A lot of you, maybe it's cold and flu season, but your boys are back. The OGs are back, and we've got so much to get to, Steve. Last night in the NBA was awesome. It was really phenomenal. There's been a lot of For me, I've had a problem with the lack of competitiveness in a lot of these games. And so if you stayed up late in the Eastern time zone, we were all able to watch the Lakers and Clippers be extremely competitive. Overtime game. Klay Thompson hit a game winner last night for the Dubs. And we'll get to all of it here. We'll talk about some guys who are catching our eye, maybe both in a good way and a bad way as we move along here. But Steve, what a ball game. And I know you're a night owl like me, so you were up until God knows when. For me, watching a little bit behind live off of DVR, about 1:45 a.m., I got to see the end of the Lakers and the Clippers. But what I loved about that, Steve, was old goats flipping load management, the bird. All right, LeBron was in his third game in 4 nights, played 42 minutes last night, went 35, 12, and 7, had the flamethrower with the shot. Kawhi Leonard, second of a back-to-back. He was vintage, 38, 6 and 5, 2 steals, 5 threes. That was the good stuff last night, bro.
Yeah, and I had Bob Rathman on with me Tuesday, and he was really excited about the attitude the league's taking toward load management. He hates it, and he said a lot of these guys hate it, and they don't want to be load managed, but teams almost force them at times. So pretty cool that we haven't really heard a lot about AD and LeBron being questionable. Kawhi's been out there every night. So yeah, and what was even better about it was AD got that breakaway dunk towards the end of the game that gave him his 25th point, I think, and won me a little cash in underdog.
Ooh.
So
Ooh.
it was good.
I like it, man. I like it a lot. So guys, Jimmy Butler could take note of this, right? I am so tired with Jimmy Butler and the whole Heat thing, taking these games off. They freaking took an L last night to the Brooklyn Nets without Spencer Dinwiddie, Nick Claxton, and Cam Johnson at home. This cannot happen. So just to juxtapose that, I want Jimmy Butler to start drinking what LeBron and Kawhi are drinking. You had reservations on Anthony Davis, Dr. A, coming into the season, and rightly so. Most of the free world did. I did not. I told you that I was wide open and fancy-free on Anthony Davis, okay? Last night, 27 and 10, 4 blocks, 10 of 18. He was unreal. On the season, 26 and 13, 3 assists, 3 blocks, 1.4 steals, 53, 43, 85 are his shooting splits right now. Are you ready to plug in, or are you like, nah, this is 1 week and the other shoe's going to fall? Like, where are you at with Anthony Davis, man?
Oh, I just posted something I was not supposed to post.
Uh-oh.
I am I'm coming around a little bit, but as Uncle Bob told me on Tuesday, you really can't judge anything in this league until we hit 20 games. So if AD is still out there cranking away at 20 games, I'm all in. But I just like I said, I mean, I fully admit that I feel like those guys are like, screw load management. We want to go play. And it's a different mentality than it has been. Instead of trying to see who can miss the most games, they may take a page out of Mikal Bridges and see Mikal Bridges, and see who can miss the fewest games. Are you muted, Rick?
Pardon me on that. There are some teams that are like in totally locked in, go for it mode, playing their guys, and there's some teams that aren't. I mean, Golden State comes to mind, locked in right now. Lakers and Clippers come to mind, locked in, going for it right now. It's very, very fun. So let's shift over here to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George for a minute here, Dr. A, and I want to bring James Harden into this conversation. I have never seen Paul George and Kawhi Leonard better together in a Clipper uniform than right now at the start of this season. Paul George was phenomenal before he fouled out last night. 35-6, had 6 threes, 20 in the fourth quarter, made all 3 free throws to tie the game. Amazing. Kawhi, as we said, was great last night. On the season, Paul George, massive, 29, 5, and 4, 2 steals per game, 50, 50, 90 with the shooting splits. Kawhi going 23, 6, and 5, 2 steals. The shooting's been very, very crisp from him. I don't think it's a coincidence, Dr. A, because we've got contract years from both of these guys. But James Harden now comes in. And so I'll let you go first on this. Is he going to throw off Paul George and Kawhi Leonard? Or is all of the announcers on TV are saying make their jobs even easier and help them sustain the numbers they're putting up right now? How do you think James Harden, it being that whale in that swimming pool out there in LA, is going to impact George and Kawhi, if at all?
Well, it's going to have an impact, right? There's an impact because Russell Westbrook may come off the bench. Bones Hyland is going to go away, and Bones is playing well. I mean, this is devastating for Bones, which makes me kind of sad. And then Harden is he's going to get a lot of assists, but he's also going to need the ball in his hands. He's also going to need to be able to score. So I think that is going to impact the scoring of Paul George and Kawhi a little bit. And then the fact that it's a new mind and personality you're throwing in there. Like, I just think everybody is fascinated by it. It's kind of like a scientific experiment. It could go really, really well. It could go really, really poorly. But man, I think the way that Kawhi Leonard has looked especially last night, like the game before he wasn't very good, but outside of that, he's been awesome all season. And PG was money last night too. I'm worried about it disrupting what they have going.
I am as well. I don't like the trade. I would not have done this if I were the LA Clippers. I thought their vibe, I thought their role definition, I thought they had a lot of things going for themselves, right? Their stars are healthy. Now you bring in James Harden, and Steve Ballmer obviously is brand named lustful, and he just wants as much firepower as he can get in there. In terms of Harden's impact on Kawhi and George, for me, if James Harden goes to LA with the same mindset he went to Brooklyn with, where he was the number 3, he was the point guard, setting up Durant and Kyrie, willingly taking a back seat, then I think it'll work. And Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are still going to cook. But, coming into this season, Harden was talking about MVP. What? You play with the MVP, dude, you dummy. And leading the league in scoring and all this kind of stuff. So if he has delusions of grandeur, then the house of cards is going to fall, and he's going to be to blame. If he goes in there with that selfless, man, I'm going to get in where I fit in, be the point guard of this team, or at least, I don't know, because maybe Russ is the point guard of the team. And that's, again, why I just think it's too much. I think it's like too much star power. Russ is probably going to have to come off the bench at some point here, Steve, to your point, which is very unfortunate. He had 24, 11, and 8 last night. 24, 11, and 8, old school line, on the year going 15, 8, and 7. 51, 39, and 50. He's a bad free throw shooter. But Russ is killing it. And I think this is horrible news for Russell Westbrook out there in LA. I think they're going to start with them all starting together. They may have to just say, there's too much redundancy. We got to bring Russ off the bench. Now, for Harden, Steve, last year with Philly, obviously tremendous statistical year. 21, 6, 10, led the league in assists. How far does he come off with his personal numbers? Are we talking 15, 5, and 5? Like, where do you see James Harden's numbers kind of coming in here as he settles in with the Clippers?
Depends on which guy he wants to be. I mean, if he's going to come in and feed the ball to Kawhi and PG, I mean, he may not score more he won't score more than 15 a game if that's the case. I think his assists will be up there. I think he'll challenge Trey and Ty for the league leading assists. But the overall numbers would be down. He'll spend a lot more time, I think, standing around. If he's pumping the ball into those guys, he won't be looking for a shot. I could see 13, 10 assists and 6 boards, maybe. It depends. It's a lot like, it reminds me of the Chris Paul situation in Phoenix. You know, Chris Paul has gone from being the man to being the facilitator and standing back and watching everybody else work for the most part. And if Harden does that, it's good news for Kawhi. It's good news for PG. It's good news for Westy. So I'm not expecting any miracles from Harden when he gets there, but I just hope he can play nice with others and they all get along.
I don't hope that. I hope he goes out there and is divisive, and I'm not a fan. I can't wait for the playoff meltdown, right? Because it's coming. And you know, especially if they have like a 49-win, 50-win regular season and everybody's geeked out there and, oh my God, James Harden once again. I mean, it's his way, guys. But we had the Kings move on last night, Doc, without it's Rick Kamla. It's the great Dr. Steve Alexander here on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Before we get to some players who are catching our eyes so far, you know, no De'Aaron Fox for Sacramento. Davion Mitchell, a.k.a. off night, went 13-3-4, did have 3 steals. I believe had 3 threes in the game as well last night. Sabonis got a tick up with his numbers, 23, 11, and 8. They're not anticipating it being a long-term absence with De'Aaron Fox, but decent stat line. I thought from Davion Mitchell. You know, I think he played 30 minutes last night or 28 minutes. He got starters minutes, so he wasn't sort of yo-yoed off the court. But obviously they lost as Clay hit the game winner with 0.2 of a second left. Man, Sac just can't beat that Golden State team, Steve, right? First round last year, you lose that heartbreaker on Friday night when Steph soars for 41. You lose again. But what you think of Davion Mitchell, and are you like hard recommending everybody to pick him up now the Fox is on the shelf for a minute?
Nah, because I would have, and I played him in DFS. I've got him on a dynasty team. He's in that lineup. I'm not sure if it's yours or the other 30 team. I can't keep my 2 dynasties. Can't tell them apart. Kind of like the corn and peanut oil thing. But I did play Davion in DFS. He did put up solid DFS points. And I was looking for a little more Harry Barnes last night, but we didn't get it. Keegan Murray looks very good. But I'm not recommending Davion Mitchell as a hot pickup, mainly because the Kings only have one more game this week. So it was a 2-game week. And that's not enough time really to make anything happen. And I feel like the way Fox bounced up from twisting his ankle that badly and getting right back on the court, yeah, I knew it was going to swell up. I knew he was going to miss a game or 2, but I don't think he's going to miss much more than that. So I think by the time you get Mitchell fired up and in your lineup, it's going to be too late. LeBron versus Jordan, Magic versus Bird, Barkley versus McHale. Basketball is synonymous with legendary player rivalries. They make the game more fun and give fans the storylines that raise the stakes every time those players meet on the court or come up in conversation. Now, every player matchup and head-to-head debate can be settled on Rival Fantasy. This NBA season, you can play challenges where you decide which NBA player will score more fantasy points in the next game. Play the Rival Fantasy in-house challenges or create your own and get a friend in the mix with customized social challenges. Sign up at joinrival.com/RotoWire right now and get a $200 deposit match. Get in on this now before it's too late. It's time to step up the challenge on Rival Fantasy. See you in the arena.
That's very cool. I like how that sounds a lot. Everybody get into that, man. So it is Rick Kamla. It is Steve Alexander. We're the OGs on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to some players who have caught our eye so far. Steve, let me hit you first of all, and he's your guy, becoming my guy. And I, you know, it's relatively obvious here, but Chet Holmgren, man. Steve, Chet Holmgren, like, I don't know. Like, I had a big Banchero opinion, coming out of college, worried about the frame of Chet. I'm no longer worried about the frame of Chet. I'm not. It's the NBA isn't ever. It's a league that's getting ever less physical, right? But this dude is really, really skilled, and a way better shooter than I thought he would be this early in his career. I mean, obviously missed last year. He's about a weekend. On the year, going 16 points, 7 rebounds, 2.2 assists, 2.6 blocks, 1 steal, 2.2 threes, only player in the league at 2+ blocks and 2+ steals, 60, 52, 80 with the shooting splits. And when they kick out to him, that right wing, and he's got it teed up and lets it go, if he misses, I'm like, whoa. It looks great coming off his hand. I love the way he competed against Jokic on Sunday afternoon in a game where OKC got beat the frick down. He held his water against Nikola Jokic. And I'm still a big Paolo Banchero guy. We'll get to him in a minute here, Steve. But I like, if we redid that draft, I don't know, man. I'm obsessed with the combination of rim protection and hitting threes. I'm obsessed with it. The Miles Turners, guys like that, Brook Lopez's. Evan Mobley should be this guy, right? And Chet checks both of those boxes. Paolo Banchero doesn't check either of those boxes. So I know you love you some Chet, but he's been way better than I thought he was going to be this early.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to take a victory lap just yet, but I mean, this is sort of what I was hoping for. This is sort of what I thought this was what we were going to see. And if you think about it, we're only a week in. Where are we going to be if he stays healthy? Where are we going to be in 3 months when he really has some time under his belt and figures it all out? And I think this whole rookie of the year argument is interesting. Like, is Chet Holmgren really a rookie? I mean, he hasn't played in an NBA game until now, but he sat on an NBA bench for a year. He had NBA trainers for a year. He was in every meeting and every video session, and he was hanging out with NBA players. So to me, he's not. I don't know that he should really be in the rookie of the year race. He's got an advantage over a guy like Victor, but Victor is protecting the rim. Victor is banging threes, and so is Chet. And Chet looks better. I mean, Chet looks like a seasoned NBA professional right now.
It's a great point. Like, I expected shot blocking. I think we all did, right? I thought maybe 13, 7, and 2.2, exceeding all of those in the 3-point shot. So, Steve, get us into and we'll kind of play tennis here. Take me and everybody watching the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast into somebody who's caught your eye so far. Oh,
well, Jalen Johnson and DeAndre Hunter of the Atlanta Hawks both look different this year. Jalen Johnson spent time in the G League and really gained confidence and gained a new perspective on how to play basketball. He came off the bench last night. He's bounced between starting, coming off the bench. They've got Saddiq Bey there kind of jamming everything up. If Saddiq Bey wasn't around, it would be Jalen and DeAndre every night. And so that needs to work itself out, and I think it will. Saddiq has looked good coming off the bench. Jalen's looked good coming off the bench. I'm not sure it really matters who's starting so much, but DeAndre Hunter, I picked him up in a couple leagues last night, and he finally looks like the guy that the Hawks thought they were drafting a few years ago out of Virginia. And, as Rathman and I talked about on Tuesday, he's been scared to shoot the ball. DeAndre Hunter's like, because he came from an offense where that really wasn't the way they ran it. Now he's being told to shoot the ball whenever he wants or whenever he can. And he's not really used to that. And he hasn't been used to that, but he's doing it. And the numbers they look better. Like he looks like a much better player. It's only a week into the season, but the Hawks had that big comeback win when they were down 21 and DeJounte Murray got hot on Tuesday night. They came back from 21, won by 20, and I think that kind of changed the mindset of that team that got them turned around.
Yeah, I mean, Hunter's got to get healthy and stay healthy. Obviously, he is right now. That's been a huge issue. It seems like every time he's gotten some momentum, it's an ankle, it's a knee, it's whatever. I took a flyer on Jalen Johnson in the Cam Dynasty in the preseason, just, off of waivers. Like, we've got, you can kind of expand your roster and, trick your roster a little bit to carry some extra dudes, just see how it goes. Loved him in the preseason. Up to last night, he was at least 1 block and 1 steal in every game this year. And I believe he had a 3 in all of those games as well, with a good rebounding rate. Came off the bench last night. And so I don't know if we're doing a matchup yo-yo thing here with Saddiq Bey and Jalen Johnson. Bottom line is I'm very excited that I picked him up. He looks like he's going to be a mainstay for my team unless Quinn Snyder has other ideas, and we shall see. But both of those guys have caught my eye as well so far here, Dr. A. Let me talk to you about a couple of Toronto Raptors. And Scottie Barnes, Dr. A, is delivering first-round value right now. Off the charts. And look, I think that this is Scottie Barnes. I really do.
Is he still leading the league in blocks? Is he still at like 2.75 a game or something? He's
at 2.4 after last night.
Okay.
He's at 1 steal per game, 21, 10, and 5. 21, 10, and 5. A Julius Randle type of line here for Scottie Barnes. Heck, a Kevin Garnett type of line for Scottie Barnes when you include the defense. The shooting's been great. 52 from the field, 43 from 3, 79 from the free throw line. And again, I don't see these numbers going anywhere. I think Fred VanVleet going down to Houston really opened things up specifically for this guy right here to pat the ball more, to get more usage rate, get more shots. And then obviously the guy that backfilled Fred VanVleet in the lineup is Dennis Schroder. Had a marvelous game last night as they cooked the Bucks up in Toronto. Very weird reality NBA result. But Schroder, I think, had 24 and 11 or something like that. But on the season, going 16, 3, and 9 assists, 45 from the field, 50 on 3, 83 from the free throw line. And again, I think that these numbers are sustainable for Barnes and Schroder. Do you agree? And have these guys caught your eye as well?
Yeah, I drafted Dennis Schroder in almost every league. I was like, if you can get a starting point guard with no competition for his job at the end of your draft, that's sort of a proven guy, you do it. So Schroder, not surprising. I don't think there's anybody there to challenge for the job. The one guy I was worried about doing that is Scottie Barnes. And the way Scottie Barnes looks at forward, they're not going to put him at point guard. Like he's doing everything he needs to do right where he is. They shouldn't be changing much there. So Scottie Barnes is like 13th on Basketball Monster and probably the RotoWire ranking system as well. He's borderline first round value. He was first round value for a while there, and he still is in my book. So I'm excited to see this version of Scottie Barnes play the whole season. What did he make it through last year? Like not very many games, right? 12, 13. Was that him?
Scottie Barnes?
Yeah.
No.
I'm thinking of somebody else.
I'm not sure who you're thinking of, but yeah, he played, I don't know, 67, 72 games, something like that. Scottie Barnes is a baller, man. He's an availability guy too.
Well, I was thinking of somebody else. And
it's all good, man. It's all good.
I just woke up, man. We got a Bob Knight hangover going on. But yeah, Scottie Barnes looks awesome.
All right, take us into somebody else who's caught your eye here, Dr. A. Early in the season, we're about a week in.
Who's number 3 in the rankings right now, Rick? Do you know who's number 3 off the top of your head?
Is it Shai Gilgeous-Alexander?
It is not. It is a guy that avoided taking a hit in a James Harden deal. It is Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey escaped with nobody coming in to steal his job except a bunch of old dudes and KJ Martin. So that trade that sent all those Clippers leftovers, who was it? Nick Batum, Marcus Morris, and Robert Covington, and KJ Martin all went to the Sixers. Meanwhile, Tyrese Maxey is running circles around people in Philadelphia. Him and Embiid have this pick and roll thing going. They've got this chemistry thing working. And if you drafted Tyrese Maxey this year, you are getting paid.
Tyrese Maxey is now, Steve, my pick to win most improved player. And coming into the year, my prediction was Jalen Brunson. And knowing that we're probably not going to get a huge spike in scoring, but we're probably going to get a first All-Star appearance. Well, Maxey is going to check a box of going from, 20 points a game to 25, 26, 27, wherever he's going to end up, and first-time All-Star. So if you're out there and looking to play a futures bet on most improved and how the James Harden trade kind of impacts that with the Maxey thing, I have now flipped on who I believe is going to be the most improved player over to Tyrese Maxey because there's no Harden. And so the runway is wide open for this young fella. So Dr. A, let me give you another guy here that, and this is a really, really off the radar player, maybe on waivers for some of the people to go out and snag right now. Because he plays for the Portland Trail Blazers, who are a lost and forgotten team now that they've traded Damian Lillard. And it's Malcolm Brogdon. And on the year, he had a really solid game. I think 14, 6, and 6 last night in a win at Detroit. They've won 2 in a row now. Brogdon is at 18 points, 4.6 rebounds, 4.4 assists, 44, 39, 71 with the shooting splits, playing 27 minutes. Are we sure he's not going to win Sixth Man of the Year again? I mean, I know Portland's not going to win. They're probably going to shut him down with a month to go in the regular season. I'm prepared for that. But dang, dude, and now you've got Anthony Simons hurt. Scoot Henderson blew a tire last night with an ankle injury. Malcolm Brogdon is completely green-lit right now, Dr. A. He's hitting threes. He's not giving you any defense, but he hasn't for years. But he's caught my eye, man. Brogdon's been really solid.
And Shaedon Sharpe's right there with him, right? Shaedon's starting, which is why Malcolm Brogdon's in the conversation for Sixth Man of the Year. And yeah, I mean, I feel like he's 16, 5, and 5 every night. He's going to do that until they pull the plug on him. And you're right, man. Portland is a mess. We thought Detroit was going to be bad. We thought some of these other teams are going to be bad. Portland looks really messy. Scoot Henderson got hurt. Anthony Simons down for basically 2 months, right? So it's going to be all Shaedon Sharpe and all Malcolm Brogdon for the foreseeable future there. So I like that take. I imagine the odds on Malcolm Brogdon winning Sixth Man are pretty sweet payout there. So yeah, I like that take.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put money on it because they're not going to win, and I don't see him finishing the year. I'm just saying, these are Sixth Man of the Year numbers. They're better numbers than he put up last year when he won the award in the on the Green team. Doc A, take us into one of the other players that's caught your eye so far here.
The NBA season is here. On behalf of our friends at Vivid Seats, let's get one thing clear. Nothing beats seeing your favorite team crush it on the court to the sound of thousands of screaming fans. Every dunk, dribble, and heart-pounding play of your favorite team live and in person. And because Vivid Seats is the only ticketing company where you can earn rewards on every purchase, you can score amazing deals and unrivaled annual rewards all season long. Plus, with a 100% buyer guarantee, you can be sure your ticket will be as legit as your love for the game. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Use promo code RotoWire for $20 off your first $200 purchase. That's RotoWire for $20 off your first $200 ticket purchase. Download the app or visit vividseats.com. Vivid Seats, Rick. Experience it live.
Another phenomenal promo right there by Steve Alexander. The OGs, the fantasy basketball, the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Over to you, my friend.
Well, let's look here. Derrick White. How about Derrick White in Boston? Talking about Malcolm Brogdon's old job. Marcus Smart's in Memphis, and things are not going well in Memphis. Brogdon is in Portland. Things are not going well in Portland. Meanwhile, Derrick White, who was it you and I on a podcast where I said, let's pour one out for Derrick White because
yes,
Derrick White's fantasy value is now dead.
Yeah, with Drew Holiday going there. Yeah, we talked about that.
Drew Holiday is there. That's going to push Derrick White to the bench. He's going to be a forgotten man. And then what happened? Derrick White is balling out. The Celtics are rolling and trucking people. They destroyed the Pacers last night, badly. And Derrick White, He's more confident than he's ever been in his life, dude. And he's having fun, and he's out there playing with his guys. And he's making everybody better. He's just a great piece of glue and role player for that team. And he's also putting up numbers.
He is, man. That's Dr. A. I'm Rick Kamla. We're the OGs here on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's hit up some of our comments here. Ian Solis says, Vooch or Jamal Murray in 9-cat. Vooch had a 20-20 last night. He really ripped those boards. I know that Murray had a 14-assist game recently, and I am, and obviously last night was just weird. I'm not sure what the hell happened to Denver. Maybe they have something against my old stomping grounds, my hometown of Minnesota in Minneapolis. I mean, that was just pathetic. And Denver's looked like flawless, literally flawless basketball so far. I'm going Jamal Murray here, man. I'm a Vooch guy, but I'm not really a Vooch guy. He gives you about 1-3, doesn't impact you in shot blocking. I know he's an elite rebounder and a double-double every night. But I still do see a little bit of a spike overall coming here from Jamal Murray. He's going to need it if he wants to make the All-Star team for the first time. So I still say Jamal Murray over Vooch in 9-cat, Doc A. How about you?
I agree. I think people forget how good Jamal Murray is because he was hurt for 2 years. He's not hurt now. I like him a lot. I have a feeling those guys are not ranked too far apart if you look at where they rank, and they're not. Vooch is a little higher, but I think by the end, when it's all said and done, it'll be Murray.
So you go first on this one. Brian B says, hey, Doc and Rick, is it time to drop Scoot? I have him in both of my leagues. 10-team, 9-cat head-to-head, and 14-team, 9-cat head-to-head. So are you hanging in there with Scoot? Honestly, I saw that he turned his ankle last night and left. I don't know details on it. Maybe you do, Steve. Is he out 1 to 2 weeks? I doubt they've made any kind of diagnosis on that yet. But are you dropping Scoot right now?
Well, I think the key is you got a 10-team league, you got a 14-team league. In a 14-team league, based on what's going to be on the waiver wire, I'm probably sticking with Scoot, unless a guy like DeAndre Hunter or Jalen Johnson or one of those guys is just sitting out there. In a 10-team league, I think we've seen enough to where I know there's good players sitting on your waiver wire, and you're like, I've got Scoot, but I don't want to cut a name like Scoot because everybody knows his name because he spent the summer playing against Victor Wembanyama. But there's guys putting up big numbers in 10-team league waiver wires. So I think on that league, I'm probably dropping Scoot, picking up whoever I can get. The other league, probably going to hang on to him, but it just all depends on who's out there. But huge difference between a 10-team and a 14-team league.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way I'm dropping Scoot in a 14-team league. There's no way. Put him on IR. Put him on the IL Plus if you're in a Yahoo league or something like that. We run the Cam Dynasty on Fantrax, and if there's the red flag or sort of the red cross-looking thing, then both of those you can move them to an IR spot. We have 6 IR spots this year, for all the missed games and stuff like that. So just shelve him. You don't have to drop him. In a 10-team league, it depends on who is out there. And I probably still am not dropping Scoot because he's a point guard, and he's going to give you the steals, the threes, the assists that are so rare, and you just don't find those on waivers. You can go out and find rebounds on waivers or threes on waivers, but you can't really find that point guard stuff. So I tend to hang in there. Now, let's go to Sean Kirkland here, Doc. He says, should I drop Tillman, Xavier Tillman, in an 8-team head-to-head category league? Tillman was awful last night. Memphis, I believe, Steve, is 0-5 right now. I mean, it's completely dreadful. In an 8-team league, I'm probably dropping Tillman right now. There's got to be somebody better out there. Maybe a Zach Collins is out there in an 8-team league, Doc. I really like what Zach Collins is doing at the 5 spot in San Antonio.
I do too. 8-team league, Xavier Tillman's gone. 10-team league, Xavier Tillman's gone. 12-team league, I'm going to weigh my options, see what's out there. But in 8-team league, you can't wait on Xavier Tillman to get it going. And he was sort of a free gift. Let's see what happens. Anyway, when Steven Adams got hurt, obviously Tillman is not blowing up. That Memphis, I mean, I know Bob said wait 20 games before making a decision on what you see, but Memphis looks bad. It's Desmond Bane, and then it's bad. So I would drop it.
The other night, let me see if I have these stats here. Jaren Jackson Jr. scored 30. Smart scored 23. Bane scored 30. And they lost by 15 to a Dallas team without Kyrie Irving. And scoring has been a major issue for Memphis, but they got 83 points from their top 3 players and still got cranked by 15 to a team without its second best player. That's how bad it is in Memphis right now. Let's go back to the streets here, Steve. We've got Kim Andrew or Andrew Kim, if it's a juxtaposition of first and last name. Should I drop Sochan, 9-cat, 16 team? I say no, and I'm looking at Sochan. I've got him in an 8-man keeper league that I just joined this year. I'm about to drop him. I haven't dropped him yet. I believe that's a 12-team league that I'm in, but he's the starting point guard. He's going to have multi-positional, eligibility for a year. He's a PG and a PF in Yahoo leagues. So I'd hang in there, Steve. But Trey Jones is nipping at his heels, so I understand the question here. Where are you at with Sochan?
Well, what do you say? A 16-team league? You can't drop Sochan in a 16-team league. But the interesting thing about Trey Jones and Sochan is they're basically buzz killing each other in a perfect pop buzzkill. I mean, it's a perfect because fantasy managers like, oh man, Sochan point forward, he's going to run the show, he's starting, and Trey Jones is not going to do anything, and then Trey Jones is doing plenty. Sochan still looks good on the court. Like, I like him. I like watching the Spurs play. But fantasy-wise, he's a little tricky right now. But, I mean, even in a 12-team league, I think it would be hard to drop Sochan right now. So 16 teams, I think you'd have to just hang on.
Steve, let me ask you a question here from Dante's Inferno. And these are 2 of your guys. He says, what do you think Lively for Bruce Brown, 9-cat, head-to-head? These are your guys. You go first on this, man. Are you trading Bruce Brown to get into some Dereck Lively?
I probably am. Bruce Brown was bad last night. Dereck Lively was good last night. Dereck Lively had disappeared the previous 2 games. One game he was in horrific foul trouble early. Yeah, he had 5 fouls. Like, he only played a few minutes. And then the game before that was the game against Brooklyn where they didn't have a center. And they went totally small ball. That was the Davion Sharpe dud, I believe. And so Lively didn't play in that one because the Mavericks ran small to keep up with him. As we saw last night, Lively, when the Mavericks need a true center, he's it. And we also saw Maxey Kleber go down last night with a foot injury. Didn't look good. It was sort of non-contact. He just sort of came down on it funny on his own. That's another big man out of the picture. That leaves Dereck Lively and Dwight Powell as the only options in Dallas. And Lively looked pretty lively last night, pretty fun. And he's only going to get better week after week. So I think that the 2-game break that Lively took simply means he's sitting out there available in more leagues than he should be. I still like Bruce Brown, but I mean, I feel like there are lots of Bruce Browns out there, and there aren't many guys like Lively out there.
I would definitely rather have Dereck Lively than Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown, to me, is a reality guy. He is not a fantasy guy. He's not a three-point shooter. I think he had 6 in his debut with Indiana. That's not who he is. He's not going to have – he might not ever have 6 threes in a game ever again. And Lively's going to be inconsistent and up and down. He's a rookie. Okay, he's going to be prone to foul trouble. He's going to be prone to the yank job by Jason Kidd on those nights where he's playing like a rook. But I would rather go long haul with Lively than Bruce Brown. James Chan asks Dr. A, trade Westbrook for Jerami Grant, 14-team roto. Really, we play rotisserie basketball. People do that? Like, why? Why would you do that? I don't understand. Like, why would you do that? I absolutely hate roto leagues. I will take on a baseball invite. I would not take on a basketball invite to a roto league. You got to play head to head, man. It is by far the best way to go. All of that said, oh man, this one's tough. If you told me that Jerami Grant would finish the year in a Blazer uniform instead of getting shut down ping pong ball style, it's a no-brainer. I would rather have Jerami Grant for the long haul than Russ because I'm worried about the impact of Harden, mostly on Russell Westbrook, more than Kawhi and Paul George. But Doc A, I'm going to say hang in there with Russ because I really do see 4 weeks to go. Jerami Grant's going to be in street clothes and he's going to be in your IL spot. And Russ, one of those guys probably going to blow a tire, and then Russ is going to be killing it, trying to get the Clippers out of the play-in tournament, putting up big-time numbers at winning time in the fantasy basketball playoffs. I guess not that it matters for him. He's in one of these roto leagues, but I'm hanging in there with Russ because I think Jeremy's going to get shut down. How about you?
Well, Jerami could also get traded. I just feel like everything is so murky and clouded around Jerami Grant. Like I didn't think about drafting him anywhere this year. Just because it's weird. Like he doesn't fit the mold of what the rebuild in Portland. I think he re-signed with Portland thinking that Dame was going to be there. And then 2 days later, Dame's like, I'm out. Peace. So then Jerami Grant's standing there like holding the football. Like, where'd everybody go? So I just don't have a good vibe about Jerami Grant. I guess that's about all I can say about it. I'd rather have Russell Westbrook. And Rick, you can hate on Roto in hoops all you want, but a lot of people play it. I'm with you. I think Roto is for baseball. I think head-to-head is for basketball. But a lot of people are playing Roto in hoops just because that's how their commissioners set it up. They may not even know it. They may not even know any difference.
I mean, I'll leave it at that. It's just there's a better way to play. And you get more spark out of head to head than you do roto. It's such a long haul, the marathon. You get stuck in statistical quagmires that you can't get out of. I'm just not a fan. But Doc,
speaking of better ways to play, Rick, Underdog Fantasy is the #1 platform for NBA best ball and DFS player pick'em contests. If you haven't tried Underdog yet, new Underdog users receive a first-time deposit bonus up to $500 and a free 6-month subscription to RotoWire with promo code RWNBA. That's promo code RWNBA. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or download the Underdog app today. Use promo code RWNBA to claim your free RotoWire subscription and deposit bonus. Business taken care of, Rick. Go.
So Doc, we got time for your Bob Knight story, and we're going to say goodbye to the people here, man. All the great people, and we appreciate you guys jumping into the chat, asking us questions. Do it for all these podcasts. We are on every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern time on the RotoWire Fantasy Basketball Podcast. But we lost the great Bob Knight last night. God bless him on his journey to heaven. God bless those he left behind, his close friends and obviously family members. 83 years old, and Bobby Knight is on his way to heaven here, Doc A. So you said you had a Bobby Knight story. Hit us.
I do, and I don't know how feel good it is given the situation, but it works. It's a Bob Knight story. When I was in 6th and 7th grade, my parents dropped me off in Bloomington, Indiana, couple hours south of Indianapolis, for a week at Bob Knight camp. So I went twice, and this was probably like 79, 80, maybe 80, 81, somewhere in there, a long time ago. And I remember we checked into our dorm room, and then they came and got us, and they're like, all campers gather at Assembly Hall, and they had the auditorium set up with all these seats on the floor. We're all out there, and there's a stage, and Bob Knight comes out on the stage, and I'm like 8 rows back, sitting there with my roommate, and he starts talking, and he's like, you will refer to me as coach, and we do not put up with any crap here, and we're going to have a good time, but it's going to be a very serious time. And he's like setting the stage for I do not want to see all you little 6th and 7th graders running around like animals, because I will shut it down. And so then he brings out Landon Turner. All right. And Landon Turner played at Indiana University. He was supposed to be a first-round draft pick in the NBA. He got in a car accident over the summer and was paralyzed from the neck down. So he was in a wheelchair, or it was waist down, maybe waist down, I think. So he's paralyzed. He's in a wheelchair. They wheel him out there, and these 3 kids right near me, I think they were right in front of me, are like snickering and being inappropriate. And Knight sees it, and he's like, Joby. He's talking to Joby Wright, his assistant coach. He's like, go get those guys. Go get them, bring them up here right now. Get me a telephone. So they bring out a telephone, connected to a wire, because it's the 80s, brings out a phone, brings these three kids up on stage. He's like, what's your phone number? Kid gives him his phone number. Bobby calls his parents. Hey, it's Bob Knight. Come back here and get your kid. Called all 3 of their parents, had them come back and get their kids in front of all of us. And we're all just sitting there like no one said a word. Everybody was 100% so well behaved for the entire week. It was something else that really stuck with me. And I would love to talk to one of those 3 kids today to see how that impacted their life.
Well, it's a phenomenal story. Yeah, I mean, it's shocking that even kids, right? Kids make mistakes. Kids make dumb decisions. Would be snickering at somebody coming in on a wheelchair because that's pathetic, man. And Bobby had to check him, and he did. Dr. A, before we get out of here, man, anything else you want to tell the people, where to watch you, where to read you here on the great RotoWire platform? Anything you want to tell the people?
RotoWire is RotoWire and ESPN and Sportstopia. I've got my time divided up equally between all 3 of those spots. I'm easy to find at all 3 spots. The podcasting thing we're doing almost every day is super fun. This one's great. My Tuesday show, I'm rotating guests in every week. I think Matt Stroup, the great Matt Stroup, my ex-coworker, is next. Bobby Rathman was last Tuesday. If you missed that, just check it out. You learn a lot about the Hawks. The only guy we didn't talk about, Rick, that I was hoping we would was Chris Middleton, but we can hit him next week. Minutes limit, horrible production. Milwaukee really doesn't look that great. If you got Middleton in a 12-team league, are you holding him right now?
I wouldn't have him in a 12-team league. Just coming off of the injury summer and all of the question marks, is he going to be ready for opening night? It would have just been a no for me. I would hold him, though. I mean, it's going to be a long haul. It's going to be a month before they get him up to a minutes where he's going to be able to hover around 25 and 5. But he's still, he's healthy. He's just on a minutes restriction. So I would hang in there, but it's going to be a long slog.
All right. Well, you got to go talk to Steve Alford, right?
I am interviewing Steve Alford, obviously played for Bobby Knight for NBA Radio, and I'll be on NBA Radio later today at 2 p.m. Eastern time, talking about our beloved NBA and having a blast. So for Steve Alexander, for everybody here at RotoWire, we love you all, man. Thank you for coming into the chat. Go get some wins in fantasy basketball, and we'll see you next week.